All right, folks. I haven't done a movie review on this channel probably ever. So I thought I'd just give it a try. Why not? I just got back from seeing Superman 2025, James Gunn's version of Superman. I literally just got home. I thought, boy, there's a lot going through my mind. I just kind of want to spill it out to somebody. And if there's anybody that wants to listen to what this old guy has to say about the new Superman film, I'm going to share it now. This will be spoiler heavy. I might start the beginning with no spoilers, but we're probably just going to roll right into the movie. And I'm not going to go plot by plot, of course. It won't be a very long video either. I just have some thoughts that I want to share, generally speaking, about the film. I've got the Wikipedia page up just so I can get the cast, so I can talk about certain names and certain people and what have you. Yeah, here we go. So I have not seen a trailer before going into the movie today. I haven't seen a trailer, nothing. I mean, other than what comes on your algorithm because you're on social media, right? You're just scrolling, whether it's Facebook, Instagram, whatever. Like screenshots will come up, dialogue will come up, and I tried very hard to stay away from spoilers. And the biggest spoiler I really knew, of course, was the dog Krypto. In that, people were divided on maybe just the dog in general. You see the people here. Okay, secret, or let me let me let you in on a little secret. I should say, the internet is divisive, and often the people that have the I don't know. I guess it's just clickbait and it engages audiences and people go like, "Oh, I'm going to crap on something because it's not what I thought it should be." So this is also the perspective of somebody my age. I was raised on the Christopher Reeve films, which I loved as a kid. Like I saw parts 2, 3, and 4 in the theaters. I was old enough to see those in the theaters, and I loved them. Obviously, Christopher Reeve. What can you say? He looks the part. He's a great guy, and yeah, we love those Superman. But newsflash, I also like Snyder's cuts. And of course, when those movies came out, I'm older. I'm not a little kid anymore. And so seeing this darker, brooding, godlike Superman, it was cool. Like Snyder, say what you want about him. There's some certain shots and sequences and CGI that he used that was really just like kind of flashy and almost like you're looking at a comic frame. There's even some scenes, of course, I think it was in Batman versus Superman, where you literally had Batman doing the pose of the Dark Knight Returns from the comics. And so he obviously loved the comics and gave his version, which was a darker version of Batman, which kind of gets into my and Superman, of course, with that franchise, which gets me to my Superman. I meant when I heard about the new Superman, as much as I've enjoyed James Gunn, I enjoyed Guardians of the Galaxy. I'm a Marvel guy, but I'm not a Marvel or a DC guy. I'm a good movie guy, meaning I don't care. I love Superman. I also like the Endgame and the Marvel characters. I also like Batman. I like the Joker. And so I like all these characters. But if it's good, it's good. If it's garbage, it's garbage. For example, the Eternals is a Marvel product. Wasn't the greatest film in the world. DC has their own version of that stuff. But that's not the point. The point is I'm a fan of movies that are good. So is this movie perfect? Superman 2025? No, but it's pretty darn close. It really is. And the couple of the flaws that I have with this film, which I'll get into, let's get into the good first. The good, I've never heard of David. I gotta look up his name. I told you I had the Wikipedia. I've seen his name on print 100 times. David Corenswet. I guess that's how you pronounce it. I don't know who this guy is. I've never seen him in anything that I'm aware of. I didn't even know how he sounded or how he talked. So it wasn't until this film, because again, I never watched the trailer. I didn't even know what his voice was going to sound like. And there were some not great photos of Clark Kent that I saw that came out first. I'm like, oh, that doesn't look very good. Really, really kind of curly, permish hair, and I thought, oh boy, I don't know if he looks that great as Superman. I thought, but when I heard him talk, yeah, I admit I was sold right away. Hearing the voice, it sounded like Superman. His voice was deep and clear and strong. And then when he was Clark Kent, he was a little bit bumbling. He had a little bit of suaveness to him. And then, yeah, it turns out, here we go, spoilers. It makes sense. It's like, well, he's not as acting as nerdy and goofy as Clark Kent does, I would think. Yeah, because at this point in his life, he's already banged Lois Lane. Yeah, I know. There are a couple. And Lois knows all about Superman and Clark Kent. And I like that. I get it. I like it because we know there's a universe where Lois didn't know. We also know how Superman was raised on the Clark farm. And we've seen it, and I love it. Don't get me wrong. If this was an origin film, it still would have been fun to watch. Everyone kind of likes the origin of Superman. At least I do. I think it's always fun to watch him throw the baseball too far, or dial down his powers to not be spotted by other humans. But I kind of like how it was a very clever opening, 300 years ago, 30 years ago, 3 minutes ago. Oh, that stuff was very clever. So I liked right away cleverness of James Gunn, getting right to the story, right to the action. Soups is in trouble, and we see the we see the Fortress of Solitude. It's all there. So the part of me was geeking out right away, like, wow, we're getting right into the lore, right into Superman. We're in his world right away. Let's get to it. This is part 2, and I like that. Lex Luthor is already the bad guy. He's already a baddie. Played. Well, let's stick with Superman first. We'll get to the Lex Luthor. So David did a great job encompassing Superman, the voice. He's handsome, the hair. Yeah, and he was a great actor. I thought he embodied the character Superman very well. Superman is a character that always should be done. And there will be a time when another film will come out, 10, 15, 20 years. I don't know when the next reboot will come out, Superman 2040, whatever it is. Be prepared, folks. I like this character. It shouldn't be owned by an actor. It wasn't created for an actor. It was created for kids and families and comics. And I look forward to the next actor who's probably being born right now to play Superman in 20 years, right? So he did a great job. David Corenswet, good job. Bravo Zulu, you did a fantastic job playing Superman. No complaints. But his uniform, or his uniform, costume, outfit, gear. I admit, again, in the photos, I was like, ooh, I'm not too sure. I'm not too sure about all this. But then seeing it on film, I never gave his tights. Oh, there you go. They're not tights. It's gear. It's a costume. I get the cape maybe doesn't really have any real purpose other than it looks cool. I mean, the dog wore cape. Is that necessary to help him fly? We know Superman doesn't need a cape to fly. Whatever. But that's his costume. And I like that he had the underoos on and all that stuff. And I like the fact that I think David might be a pretty fit guy. We never see a shirtless Soup. We never see what his biceps or anything was like. But he looked like he was a pretty, like when he was wearing a shirt and tie, like he was a pretty buff dude. And I like how his suit was just like a suit. It was something you put on, like a uniform. Yeah, it was like a uniform. And I kind of like that, I admit. Whereas, again, Cavill, buff, looks the part, and I like him as well. I would even say David might be a better actor. I think he's a little bit of a stronger actor, and that's okay too. I think Cavill just looked, the dimple chin, all that stuff. It was really big. But again, the suit was not even an issue during the movie. I didn't even think of the suit until about halfway or 2/3 of the way through the movie. I'm like, oh yeah, people were complaining about the suit. Never thought of it. Yeah, 10 out of 10 for everything regarding Superman as a character on screen and played by David. Okay, now we get to Lois Lane. I don't know who this actress is. Played by Rachel. Excuse me, Rachel, if I mispronounce your last name. Brosnahan. Or, I'm sorry. I've never heard it audible. I don't know. Played by Rachel's Lois Lane. She's gorgeous. Gorgeous. What a gorgeous actress. And guess what? Great actress. She nailed Lois Lane. The perfect, smart, savvy, strong, but also, loves Clark, loves Superman, but human. I mean, yeah, obviously human, but just real. She wasn't too sassy, too like I'm a woman, but that sort of thing, or too like, oh, I'm a woman, help me, I'm useless. It was a perfect balance of just Lois Lane, the reporter, the news journalist working at the Daily Planet, and in love with Superman, and the conflict that could be. You're dating Superman, and I think it was written obviously with complete credit to James directing and his writing, of course. So the storyline between their relationship was great. It wasn't annoying, grating, drawn out. It was all very real. It was well done. Nicholas Hoult, great actor, nailed Lex Luthor. The perfect balance of kind of insane, smart, egotistical, all those things. I thought he did a great job. Nicholas Hoult, he looked great. I think that was a real bald head. I don't think it was a bald cap. He killed it as Lex Luthor. Young, smart, bright. Okay, so again, Mr. Terrific, when I saw the costume, I was nervous. But it's weird how the stills that I saw before this movie came out, I was really nervous how it translated on screen. But on screen, it sort of made sense. Well, it makes sense in the James Gunn colorful world. Okay. So we get into the what they call it, the Justice Gang. Of course, we know they're called the Justice League later. But I like how throughout the film, Green Lantern is, he's the leader of the Justice Gang. And I kind of like how they're a little, I would say egotistical, but they're metahuman, right? So they got a bit of an attitude and all that stuff. Played by Nathan Fillion, Great actor. I love him, of course. You know, you can't help but love Nathan playing Green Lantern. Guy Gardner, great job. His haircut was silly. I guess it's comic accurate, which I like. I guess all these characters are comic accurate, which I really like. And there was even a joke made about the haircut, so that's great. They acknowledge it within that world, like, dude, your haircut's a little bit, it's not that, it's a little bit silly. And but it's comic accurate. Hawkgirl was cool. The only thing and I don't know this actress either, Isabella Merced. I don't know who she is, but she did great as Hawkgirl. I'm not really familiar with the powers of Hawkgirl, so all that screaming or screeching that the character did, I thought, okay, that's cool. So that's one of the powers. Yeah. And so let's get to some of the criticisms. So I went into the movie knowing some of the criticisms regarding that Superman is like he doesn't seem very super. That is wholly incorrect. I think there was a smear campaign. Yeah, he was Superman. He does get beaten up. He's not invincible. And spoiler, folks. Ultraman. I love how it kind of reminded me of the character Black Noir. Is that the character in The Boys? It reminded me of that a little bit. But Ultraman, I believe that's a comic accurate. I'm not sure how that works in the comics. I'm not a comic book nerd, so I'll get that out of the way. But anyways, I liked the reveal that it was his clone. And I believe, I haven't seen the Superman with Christopher Reeve films in a long time, but didn't he fight the bad Superman himself? I think it was Superman 3 that he fought the bad version of himself. So that's comic accurate. Again, who can beat up Superman? Well, a version of himself. So it made more sense. So like, why is this Ultraman kicking his butt? And I like the reveal that Lex Luthor is that's one of his powers. He's a genius. He's very smart. So he's able to outsmart Superman's. He goes, I can't fight you. So he's basically using Superman like a video game. He's got his controllers, his people controlling the Superman like a video game. I thought that was a very clever, very fantastic idea. Like, how do you beat Superman? Put a smarter brain inside of Superman. And so Lex did that. It's perfect. I thought this was just a really cool film. So that's all the good. Oh, another good. Here's another good. Let's get this out of the way. As much as I enjoy the Snyderverse, the dark, the dreary, the angst, and all that stuff, the Superman's a beast mode, all that stuff. The one thing I loved about this film was that it was bright. I like that. I like that it was so colorful and bright. Very little dark scenes. When they went to the alternate universe or that meta universe portal, that was dark. Like the lighting, because that area, it was badly lit area. So it was a dark area. But when they were outside of that portal area, it was bright. Everything took place in the daytime. And I love that. The fight with Superman against Ultraman and I'm sorry, the Steel Girl, whatever she was, they did in the football stadium with Mr. Terrific. I liked it was all bright, like everything. Again, when he fought the big lizard, everything was done in daylight, which I applauded. Like, good, I get to see this. So I like the bright. I like the colors. Here's the only kind of complaints I have off the top of my head. So again, spoiler. Ultraman, of course, is the clone of Superman. I don't expect him to have the same haircut as Superman, which is clean cut, little curls. But that mop that he gave him was so terrible, the mop of hair. They should have just maybe made him bald like Lex or just a normal haircut. It didn't have to be a wig. It was a really, it looked like a bad haircut from the 90s. Like it looked worse than Green Lantern's hair. It threw me off. I know they're trying to show you this is different. But it was the wig threw me off so much that I thought, is that Clark Kent? It's like, oh yeah, that's the, because I don't know the actor very well. So it took me a second to see, oh, it's a clone. It was explained right away that it's a clone. But I thought the hair was bad. Yeah, I admit the haircut threw me. I didn't like it. It made him look too broody, and I'm bad because I've got a terrible haircut. They should just made him like the same handsomeness, with maybe a different sort of haircut, but that hairstyling of the long, I don't know how to explain it. It just didn't look good. Oh boy, what else there's something else that was bad. I think that was one of my biggest complaints. Oh, yeah, one of the criticisms was people, it's a kid's film because of the dog. Yeah, Krypto definitely, you could argue he could be like the Jar Jar Binks of a movie, but he wasn't. He was actually, I'm a dog lover. So I admit, I own a dog. I shouldn't say I own. See, there you go. Part of the family. I have in my home a beautiful dog that we love, and she's part of the family. So Krypto really spoke to me as a dog owner. Maybe if you don't like dogs, you're not a dog owner, but I like that relationship with the dog. And maybe used a little too much. That's probably my. I think I left with that in my mind, especially at the end fight. Like Krypto literally kind of saves the day at the end again. Distracting Ultraman. But I think that's probably my only kind of biggest criticism was that Krypto was used a little bit too much. And I suspect now, spoiler alert, he's going to be hanging out with Supergirl in the next film that comes out in 2026. So again, fun character, comic accurate. Maybe next time, James, a little less Krypto. That's all. That's my only complaint about Krypto. Now, other things that people were saying too is that it's kid friendly. It's a cartoon. I think they're talking about the brightness of the visuals. I liked, again, the brightness of the colors. Superman is about hope and about, I don't know, like I like the bright Superman. He's not the Dark Knight. He doesn't live in Gotham. I think it's nice to see Superman in color and in the daylight. I enjoyed that. It just felt more real and it looked better. And yeah, they had to work a little bit harder with the CGI because they can't hide in the shadows. So good job, James Gunn, on that. Um, Yeah, what else? Yeah, I think they handled the adversary well. This is always tricky with Superman is who fights Superman. I thought his adversaries were pretty cool. Like again, a metallic girl with the stuff going down his throat. I felt stressed and it was darkly done. Yeah, oh yeah, that's what people were saying too. It's like, oh, it's a kid movie. And I was like, oh, is this gonna be like silly and goofy? No, it had the James Gunn type comedy and stylings, and definitely you could see his fingerprints all over this film, the way he does these films. But I thought it was a great addition to the DC universe. And it's not. I mean, there's a brutal scene in when Superman's held prisoner, and his civilian friend is, spoiler, killed by Luthor. Luthor's is a murderer. Like he's a bad guy. That's what I like too about this. They made Lex Luthor. He's bad. He's a bad guy. He's not a redeemable character. There's no you I know Gene Hackman, these other times he's been portrayed, or even the TV show, like you kind of like, oh, I'm conflicted. You're not conflicted about how you feel about Lex. Like I like how they made him evil, and he had some like maniacal moments, the way the Joker can, and it can seem comedic, and you know what I mean. But he's actually just an evil person, and I love the idea that he's just set on killing Superman, which is great. I love that. Like he wants to kill Superman. That's fantastic. And he's using his brains to do that, like political movements and things like that, and creating rifts and create another Superman. That's how you do it. You got to use brains to beat Supes. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think that's most of it. The soundtrack was cool. There was a great scene with Mr. Terrific when he's fighting some soldiers with Lois Lane being protected in that bubble. I love the direction. It was kind of the point of view of Lois inside the bubble, watching the action go around. It's a very clever choreographed fight sequence. The CGI is so well done. Like James Gunn has a real knack for CGI in these films, and some really clever scenes, fun scenes. I love the idea that there's no secrets are in the world with Superman. He's a public figure. He talks to the press. People love him. They were conflicted at first, but they love him in the end. Yeah, he is truly, and I love the end too with the speak about being human. So, I all in all, I thought this was a great beginning, hopefully for the reboot for the DC universe. I don't know what they're doing with other Batman characters and stuff. I kind of want to give James Gunn access to now Batman, I know he's the Dark Knight, but I think he can do dark. He did the Suicide Squad the same way. Like I think he made it still dark, but bright at the same time. So James has got a real flair for the comics. I can see why the reviews are high. It's a good combination of the old, yeah. So basically, there are some real dark moments in this film. So it is kid friendly in the sense, I think the dog does add some elements for the kids to enjoy. But like I said, there's like a Russian roulette scene with a prisoner, and it's brutal. It's done far away, but the killing still a bolt to the head, still a bolt to the head. It's a brutal scene. It's probably the darkest scene in the film. But even some of the violence inflicted on Superman with the meta powers, it's pretty violent. Like the fighting's violent. I thought, oh, it's gonna be cartoonish. There's gonna be no blood. No, there's blood right away. Superman gets his butt kicked, but it makes sense how he's getting his butt kicked. That's why I thought, oh, is some thug on the street going to beat him up the way people are talking? No, I mean the reason why he's getting beaten up by himself. So it kind of makes sense. And I think he'll grow in strength if it's kind of comic book accurate. I think he grows stronger. I don't think I don't know. It doesn't even matter. It's number one, it's just a movie. I like the balance. I like the idea that Superman can get in trouble, and he does get help, but it wasn't the help that people were yapping about. That probably is my biggest complaint. Is Krypto help too much? But he's a great decoy, and that's all the decoy. Obviously, Krypto can't take on Ultraman, Superman, but he's a good distraction, and it worked. So, yeah, Superman 2025, great. I'm looking forward to and hoping for a sequel. Yeah, good job to Henry for his job, Christopher for his job, everyone who's played Superman on TV and film. I love the character, and I think we're in good hands with David. So let's go on to Supergirl. We get a little sneak peek of her sassiness. So we're gonna get a younger. Oh, that was the other thing. I really like how they implemented real world social media, the internet, politics. Yeah, it's political. There's some political elements in there. That's fine. People can't get all bent out of shape. That's been done in films forever. Why should that be any different now? It's okay to kind of hint at real world events. Deal with it. Movies do that all the time. Movies have always expressed what's happening in the real world. Anyways, great film. I enjoyed it. And that's it for my review.